This episode of Legendary is brought to you by Audible. For a free 30-day trial, head on over to audible.com/gamebreaker and you'll get a free audiobook. Gamebreaker TV. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Legendary, episode 142. I am Mike Shavnid. Coming up tonight, is healing too smart? I don't know, it might be. BlizzCon's arena tournament, it seems unfair to some, as well as Blizzard is accusing us of not, or actually Blizzard is getting accused of not catering to casuals. We're not doing the accusing. That's what happens when you read in the peripherals. You miss words, or you just add them.
You add them in.
All that and more. But first, joining us from WoW Insider, Zam, and right here on Gamebreaker TV. Still, hey Olivia, you holding on to that beer this week around? Nope, that's just a cup of water.
I'm still off the beer and on the water.
That's how you know you did it right.
Germany kicked me in the liver.
And back from PAX, but coming all the way from the Yellow Room, it looks like PAX didn't kick you in the liver.
What? Oh, no,
Mr.
Not at all.
Mr. Host of Convert to Raid podcast, Pat Crane.
Hello.
How's it
yes,
going?
I'm no longer in a Yellow Room, and I can't. That Yellow Room was just way too much for me last week. It was so
Look, you got
horrible.
a problem with Yellow? You got a problem with Yellow? You want to throw it out?
I don't have a problem with Yellow, Mike, with the dress.
That's right.
But
it's all right.
But the room was horrible.
We'll fight. We'll make this a fight. Go ahead.
I think I've concluded that Gamescom has better parties than PAX.
It's true. She's the one who came back and is drinking water. You're the one who's still able to drink.
Or maybe I'm just more pro.
Oh, those are fighting words.
You guys realize what this means, right? BlizzCon
What's
drinking
that?
competition. I'm just saying,
BlizzCon
everyone's going to
drinking
ask for it.
There we go.
I am half Australian, I warn you now.
All right, so let's move on. Let's get the show started. Now, we typically, it seems like lately we've been starting the show off talking about games that aren't World of Warcraft related, but Blizzard just can't seem to stop releasing video games. So we're just going to talk about, real quick, Diablo 3 released on consoles, and you guys actually have now had a chance to get your hands on it through Gamescom and PAX. So, Olivia, what did you think about it?
I had a great time. I was actually lucky enough to head down to London for a launch party for it on Monday of this week, and got quite an extended playtest time. I kind of hogged it. Like, we kind of stayed on the console for like 4 hours drinking beer. I was on the water. But yeah, it was just, I really like it. I really enjoyed it. I have to admit that I wasn't a huge fan of Diablo on the PC. So it's kind of worth bearing that in mind when I'm giving you these opinions, that I didn't hate it, but I was just like, I stopped playing it about 8 months ago, and I haven't really felt the sort of burning desire to go back. But on the console, it feels to me like it should always have been on the console. It feels really, really good on the console. Like, the controls are good, like the click to move, which it's not the end of the world. It's kind of maddening. That's gone. There's no auction house. It's offline. And there's just so many, and the local multiplayer is fantastic. I haven't actually had a chance to check the online multiplayer out yet, but local multiplayer is so much fun. I love it. Really happy with it.
Now, Olivia, I'm not trying to call you out, but you just say, you mentioned obviously some of the staples of like click to move and stuff. Did you ever play any of the previous Diablos, or was Diablo 3 your first?
Diablo 3 was the first one I picked up.
Okay, so then
I say picked up, received free with the annual pass.
Yeah, the annual pass was huge with that whole thing.
Yeah.
So then,
I don't think I'd have looked at it if I hadn't got it free with the annual pass. In all honesty, it's not a genre I'm that familiar with.
Right. Then, as a first-time player, then it makes, and I'm not saying that it wouldn't matter either way. It just makes a little bit more sense why it felt a little bit more natural for you to be in a controller, because I think there's a lot of people out there that would say, well, it's kind of the staple. That's how Diablo was created. That's the way that it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. I understand that. I understand that opinion, but I don't know. I felt like it feels better for console.
And I'm kind of the same opinion as well, because I really do think that, like, when I first started playing it, I was like, this would be great for like a PS3 or something like that. That would be awesome. Just be able to use the controllers and not have to click, because I haven't played the Diablos either, but the other ones. But it just seems like a natural thing, kind of like how I think Hearthstone is going to be incredibly awesome on like the iPad. That's going to be like a perfect iPad game, whereas Diablo 3, perfect console game, and then you have WoW, which is a great PC game.
So real quick question then. Diablo 3 on console is not wireless multiplayer; it's only local.
No, it is. It does have online multiplayer as well. You can do online multiplayer via PS3. Xbox, and you will be able to via PS4 with PlayStation Plus, which is obviously the paid service. And they haven't announced it for Xbox One yet. They haven't announced a game for Xbox One yet, so we don't know about that.
Here's what I really like about even the marketing for Diablo 3 now. Like, the commercial out there is like, a dude's wife comes home and there's a bunch of people sitting on the couch playing Diablo. And I think that you guys are kind of right. Diablo 3 really feels like a console game, and when we've kind of lost that fun sit on the couch camaraderie of playing a local multiplayer game, and I think Diablo 3 is a great game that fits into that category. So I think it's interesting to hear you guys say that it really fits well, and maybe they were putting that into the design of when they were developing it. What about improvements? Obviously, a lot of people even kind of had this question on After Dark a little bit, but there have been a lot of promises for stuff that was coming to the PC version, a lot of problems. Have they made any improvements specifically for the console version?
I think that the removal of, from what I've understood, like, people who have been playing the game more seriously than me have a lot of complaints about the auction house system and how that's affected the game. And again, like I say, didn't play Diablo 2, so I don't know how that worked with that, if at all. I have a sneaking suspicion that there wasn't such a heavy sort of user-based auction house, but the removal of the auction house is fantastic, because it just takes away that what I felt was an unnecessary element. Like, it's a sort of old school dungeon crawling kind of a thing where you're getting the loot, and like, that's the fun of it, is the loot side of stuff. And it's no fun to just cruise up to the auction house and buy everything. Like, to me, that was just boring, and that defeated the object of the exercise. But I think, for me personally, and that is really a personal opinion, you shouldn't take that as a statement of objective truth. That to me is a huge improvement. I think the controls work better too.
Well, I'm sure that there are some people that kind of lived off of the auction house for quite some time that would probably disagree with you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There's no doubt about that. There is no doubt about that at all. I think that, if anything, the quibbles that I have relate to the way they've had to design the menus. Obviously, the menus work really well with a mouse. A little bit more tricky, a little bit less intuitive with all the sort of shoulder buttons. And it's a little bit clunky at first, but you get used to it. I don't know, with other improvements on the PC version, the offline. Oh my God, why? Like, the reason the game was online is because of the auction house. Right. But, the offline mode, this is a great game. Like, my internet's been down most of this week, so I've been sitting playing Diablo on my PS3. It's been really fun. And I haven't been able to play WoW, I haven't been able to play anything, basically, apart from Diablo 3. And it's a perfect, like, why does this need to be online? What is even, like, as so many people said at the time when it came out on PC, why is this online?
Alrighty, let's move on, because this is legendary, not Diablo Craft
Legendary
show.
Diablo Craft.
Diablo Craft show. What is this?
That's how we do show titles. We just put craft on the end of
Right,
things.
exactly.
Legendary craft.
Exactly.
Hearthcraft.
Waypoint
All right.
craft. Hearthcraft.
All right, let's move on. World of Warcraft news. All right, so big news this week, and at least kind of over on the official forums, is that the raid release schedule has been announced. Now, our good old buddy Blizzard Blue Bastiox, see, I made it 4 Bs. You only put 3 in there,
Wow.
Olivia. You
I'm sorry,
could've gone in with 4.
I've let you down. I've let you down.
Buddy Blizzard Blue. Bastiox.
Wow.
Alliteration,
Buddy Blizzard
alliteration
Blue.
FTW.
Has been all over the thread, up and down the forums, responding to calls for pretty much all of the LF tier, all of the LFers to open at once.
Or LFR tiers for those guys at home.
Did I just say LF? What did I say?
LF ears?
I don't know what you said.
You said
Nobody.
looking for ears.
Yeah, something with ears. I have no
LF
idea.
ears, elephant ears. All of the elephant ears are gonna
All
open.
the wings of LFR open at once. That's what they wanted.
Elephants do not go toot, by the way. Just if you've seen the song that's been bandied about via Twitter. Thanks a lot, Halinka.
That Brian Halinka, hey.
All right, now we don't have time to run through pretty much everything that Bashiak said, but the gist of what he said boils down to a few basic points. He basically said, first off, that it's not really cool for the first kills of a new boss to come from the LFR tier, and it kind of totally ruins the world first race. I think that's fair to say, and makes progression a lot less fun for those guilds. Also, that progression guilds will likely cause burnout because they'll have to run LFR, Flex, and Normal all at once on day one so that they're all caught up to speed, which obviously, yes, it's going to cause burnout. He also goes on to mention things like how raiders doing normal modes and heroics will see the final boss way after LFR anyhow. So I don't get it. Like, is it just because they introduced this new tier that everybody feels that it, like, LFR should just open all at once? Like, what are people mad about? Why are people so against the gated system?
One of the things that I've really noticed in the last few months, maybe, and it may be a little bit longer too, is that there's been like this movement with the more casual crowd, I guess. And that is that they're becoming more and more vocal about what they want. And this for the casual or even the ultra casual, those guys that just want to play their individual game their way, they want everything now. And the problem is that LFR was never intended to compete with normals or heroics. So really there shouldn't be an LFR tier that tries to compete or take away from normal or heroic modes. That's always been kind of the way that Blizzard has stated LFR and what they're trying to do with it. It doesn't make any sense when you compare it to normal and heroic, so they release it at different times to make sure that it does not compete with those things.
Yeah, and I think that the thing that people are sort of upset about is definitely relates to, like, if you go through the forum post, and I'll try to remember to link it when I write the article about the show. So have a look in there and have a look at the forum post. It is a pretty epic forum post, by the way, so fair warning.
Right.
But the things that people are saying that Bashiok's responding to are things like, well, it's totally unfair that we have to wait. And it is, in all fairness to these guys who are complaining, it is a long way down the line. Like, it's not just, a couple of weeks. It's, so there's you've got to, wait, I'm going to try to get this right. So there's normal and flex, and then heroic and LFR tier 1. Then you've got a week, and then wing 2. And then you've got a 2-week gap, and then wing 3, and a 2-week gap, and then wing 4. So it's quite a while. It's late October before the final wing is coming out. So it is like, and that's what people are upset about, is they want, like, you see people saying, oh, I pay just as much for my sub as, Trekkie does, so why should I have to wait for the content?
But you also have to remember that Trekkie is he's going to be getting LFR at the same rate as everybody else.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I saw that. I saw that. I love that post. There was a response that said exactly that. Like, the third response on the thread said, "Did you know that LFR unlocks for the same speed as method as it does for everybody else?" And it's just like, yep. There you go.
and I've even seen tweets from Ghost Crawler. Sorry,
Ghost Caller.
Shaftnet's going to call you out on that now.
You're pulling a Mike Shaftnet there. Call me, I'll call you right back.
Mr. Glasshouse. Do not throw stones, mister. All right. So anyway, Ghostcrawler was talking about how how he thinks that the devs should try to encourage group play. I mean, that is going to be what's best for the game overall, I think. It'll mean that, because if people go through LFR and they think that they're done, they might unsub or something like that. Whereas with group content, I mean, you're with friends. You want to you want to complete this content with friends. That's kind of the motivation, right? Yeah. So he was talking about how the devs should try to encourage group play as opposed to individual play, which LFR kind of is. And this is one way to do that, is to say, here's LFR. Here's 3 bosses. Go fight these 3 bosses. Now maybe find a group and go discover the rest. Or go discover the next mode of raiding. You could go into flex mode now, and you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to go into normal modes and be able to kind of discover these different bosses. And this should be, LFR should be, in my opinion, a teaser for everything else that you can do with group play.
I agree. I don't get this. I don't get where the attitude came from. And granted, I mean, I guess it slightly came from the way that Blizzard has been pushing out tools to assist in this, but I don't get where the attitude came from that everybody feels entitled to be able to simply see everything with no effort. And that's what LFR is. That's what LFR is at its core. And that's why I love it. It's great. But at the same time, I'm not one of the vocal people that's saying, well, I should get to see it at the same time everybody else does. Like, you can't. You have to have some sort of reason to want to move into the new system, as Pat was saying. Give a reason for people to want to move forward, to try normal, to try even flex. I lost it. I had something that Bastiak said, but I just, when did this happen? When did we become these players that just literally want everything for nothing? Because I think it's such a bad attitude to have.
Yeah.
I think part of it actually comes from LFR itself, and I don't know if that's actually true, but before LFR came about, we had conversations where we were hearing a lot of heroic raiders complaining about normal raiders, right? I mean, that was kind of like top down. And now it's bottom up. It's gone totally the reverse, right? Since LFR came about, we've kind of gone a complete reversal as to how these complaints go, and now we're starting to see these casuals. And I'm using that because it's LFR and because you're going through an individual thing. So I'm not trying to say that you're, oh my gosh, you're just a casual player. Blah. No, it's not that. But these casual people are complaining about everybody else getting to see content before them, and it's like, you're not putting time in, so why should you?
And I don't get, like, don't people get, like, someone said well, I think someone said something about Nax, relating it back to Nax, and that made me think that, like, do the people that are complaining not understand that the content is still available for them to go in and see if they want to make the effort to go see it? It's not gated for you any more than it is for the person who's running the normal mode or running the flex. But you're choosing to run the easiest system that's in place.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Yeah. Right. I also think, like, I think people have, and maybe there has been an influx of different players than were around in early Cataclysm, even, like before Dragon Soul came out, before this whole LFR thing actually happened. And maybe people have forgotten how many Firelands trash runs we all went on, and how often we used to pug things, like how often you used to pug Blackwing Descent, was that the right? As long as it's got Blackwing in front of it, or the word Blacker is in that freaking mountain, I just forget what things are called. But like, people used to pug that. It used to happen all the time. Like, do you remember Tol Barad? The bosses in there, which we used to sit and wait for the, victory for the Alliance or the Horde in Tol Barad. Get your stuff together and let's go kill a thing with eyes. And, we used to pug this. We used to pug this in 10s. We used to pug this in 25. We used to sit and trade chat. And guess what? Certainly, occasionally it was tricky. But we all got our kills in. Right. No one had a huge problem. And I honestly think that, like, Flex will be like that. I really hope it will. I really hope that Flex will be bringing back that trade chat pug, because it's not as hard as 10-man normal. And I think, much as I'm a big fan of difficult, randomly matched content, I think 10-man normal would be hard to pug, unless you've actually, happened upon a very good pug. Like, if you've got a very good pug of very well-geared people, you're very particular. But I think 10-man normal, like, can you imagine pugging, like, some of the fights at the moment which have a high requirement for good coordination? Like, that would certainly be quite tricky. But I think flex difficulty is sufficiently easy that that's not going to be a problem. And, like, they came out and said on the forums, I believe it was Bashiok in this actual forum, or maybe it was Zarheim in a different one, saying that day one pugs for flex would be tricky. Like, it wouldn't be easy, but it would be doable. And I think that people who, maybe there's some impetus there for people who are doing LFR to sort of step up and move into those trade chat pugs and, get into actual, like, go back to how we used to do Tol Barad. It wasn't, like, have people really forgotten already how hard that wasn't?
Have people already forgotten how? And I mean, the thing is people, like, we saw a shift towards easier content. But a lot of people will say right around Black Temple, because no one really got to see it. No one got to see the original Nax Ramis. Sure. We could go back to that. Would you rather go back to the idea where you don't get to see the content at all, or would you rather just wait a month because and eventually just get to see it at your leisure? And doesn't it make Doesn't it, real quick, doesn't it make it a little bit more, and here's the other thing, even siding with the people who want it all now, doesn't it make it a little bit more meaningful when you've been working towards something for a while? Because that's what happens in normal modes, is you work your way towards killing the boss, and even if you kill it on week 1, you felt like you worked your way there. So on LFR, you're only working because you're wiping against, you're matched up with no one who's communicating and working together. I personally think that the gate almost feels like it was at least a little bit of a road or effort to get to the final boss of the expansion. Right. Instead, if LFR wasn't gated, I'd hop on very first week, go all the way. Oh, killed Garrosh. That's fun. See ya for the next 3 months while you release your expansion. It's necessary. Yep.
Well, and as you can tell, guys out there, we are not very passionate about this subject at all. We have no opinions about this whatsoever. No, but here's the real hope, and I think that some people, like I see it in the chat room, some of the people are saying, or are LFR raiders lazy? No, they're not. They're people that either can't do the schedule, can't make the commitment. They need to do something, and so they look to LFR to complete content that the game has been given. Okay, and Mike is one of those.
I'm one of them. I'm one of them.
So, Mike, will you pug flex?
If there's like if it fits within my time schedule, hell yes. If there's people like putting together a flex mode when I'm available, absolutely. But the problem is I don't get home until 9, 10, 11 o'clock Pacific. No one raids that late.
Well, but there are places like Open Raid, where you can go in and you can find a group, and since it's cross realm, you don't have to worry about it so much. That you can actually jump in there and find a group fairly easily, and there actually was a group that was looking for raiders with a plus 500 eye level that had at least some experience with their class, knew their class well. And as long as they were looking into the bosses, into the the first 4 bosses or whatever, that they would be welcome to join the group. And that's not a big commitment for a lot of people. That just means all you need is LFR gear or better from Throne of Thunder, know your class, be able to look at videos during the week, whatever, and then go jump into this flex raid. That's perfect for a lot of folks. And if you can commit 1 night a week or just like a little bit of time, you can jump in, you can jump out. You don't have to worry about it quite so much with Flex Raid. And the nice thing is it's cross-realm. You can do it with your friends. You can, no matter where they are in the system, as long as they're on the right side, right? but that's all you really need to worry about. And so, for those guys out there that can put a little bit more time in than just going through LFR, put a team together, put a Flex Raid team together, and go try some of this stuff in group content, because you'll see it a little bit faster, and you'll get better loot, and you won't have to worry about this little silly argument that we're having about LFR.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I think it's like I was just about to jump in and say, like, I don't know quite how it works with the US, but aren't there Oceanic servers who are going to be like rocking up to want to play at those hours? Is that how that works? I don't even know whether you guys can cross realm with Oceanic. Like,
we can't with
is that even a
Oceanic.
thing?
We
Oh,
can't
that's
with
a shame.
Oceanic or EU, but at the same
Not
time,
with no.
no, but I mean, at the same time, they're also going to be doing the merging of the realms, right? So they're going to have these connected realms, and so those guys in low pop servers, you guys are going to find more buddies during the times that you're available, and hopefully, so hopefully that will be a thing too.
I mean, I don't know. I think like the sort of scheduling concerns are very valid. I think Pat's recommendation of Open Raid is an absolutely fantastic one. And I think if you've got the sort of forward planning availability to be able to say, yes, I am going to be around at 3 p.m. on Sunday, I'm going to raid then that's great. But I also think that I keep harping on about this add-on OQ, which is OQUEUE, because people keep tweeting me saying, is it just OQ? No, it's OQUEUE. I can understand why that's been unclear, so apologies for that. But that is like a very much, I use that for pug RPGs all the time. And that is very much a more sort of, right, I'm online, let's do some raiding type of thing. Right. And there's constantly groups on there for older content, which is non-LFR. There's groups on there for world bosses. Like, and again, talking about finding pugging hard, if you're doing the LFR thing, do you never kill wild bosses? Like, are you unable to find a group for that? And, know, because consider it in that light, but taking a little bit longer. And OQ will be a way, like, they're not guaranteed it or anything. They've not been like, oh yeah, we're definitely going out to do this. But it's such a widely used cross-realm grouping add-on, and it's fantastic for that sort of thing. And it will be used to do this. So if you're feeling like sort of down as like, oh, legendary people don't care about me because I work weird hours or I come home late, we do care about you.
We do.
We want you to have fun, and we want you to be flex.
I had someone tweet me a picture of their baby and basically say, so you're telling me I can't raid because of this? No, I'm not. But I'm saying that...
Really?
Yeah.
That's a little bit extreme and kind of a little bit hard to take as, somebody that would receive tweets like this. I know what you're talking about. I saw the tweet.
Did I just totally miss it? Sorry,
and it was kind of one of those things where I look at that and I go, you know what? No, I'm sorry, but we are not trying to say that LFR people are bad people. We're not trying to say that LFR people are lazy people. We're not trying to say anything like that. We're saying, you know what I'm really hopeful for Flex. And as Bashiak says in the chat room tonight, he said that as of day one of this patch, Flex rating is going to be cross-realm. So you're going to be able to join in with all these other people and join in on your schedule. Hopefully, you'll find something on or near your schedule that you'll be able to go and down some content, get some stuff, and do it with a group of people, and you'll be able to chat in Mumble or Vent or whatever, and just have fun. I mean, that's what this whole thing is about. It's about building community, and that's what Flex is. And I think that is going to be a really great solution for a lot of people.
So I think what we're saying here is that there's definitely a need for LFR. There's no denying that there's a place of people that need LFR, but specifically, obviously, a lot of people right now are getting mad about the release schedule and what's for LFR. And what's funny is it's the same release schedule that existed for Throne of Thunder. So what's the difference here? The only difference here is that Flex mode exists now. So why are people suddenly having such a problem with this?
It's a good question. I honestly think, I was thinking about this earlier, and I honestly think, because Bashiok, I believe he mentioned that in one of the forum posts or on Twitter. I'm not sure which it is. I stalk Bashiok quite a lot, so I forget sometimes where it comes from. But it was either in the forums or it was on Twitter where he said this is exactly the same. And I actually had to go back and check it. So I was like, what, really? Was there that 2-week gap? And there was. It's exactly the same. For LFR, it is exactly to the letter the same. So I've if people are sort of checking that and doing the same thing as I did and coming back and going, oh, wow, it is the same. I think that it's people weren't happy about it back then either. People weren't happy about the slower release schedule for LFR. And now they're seeing that yet another group of other kids are getting their toys first. And they feel like they're sort of, again, being maligned somehow by Flex now, as opposed to just by normal raiders. And there's been people saying, oh, this encourages elitism, this encourages people to consider that LFR raiders are second-class citizens. And I mean, I can understand that position, but I don't quite see. The only thing I can think of is that they're seeing that Flex is yet another thing that is getting stuff before them. Like, that's all I can see. I don't think that is a reasonable, I don't think that's a good argument because of all the things we've just talked about, which I'm not going to repeat. But I think that's the only thing I could figure out. Like, what do you guys think?
Well, and part of this whole deal, and I think I talked about it earlier, was that LFR people, the people that do strictly LFR, do not want to go necessarily outside of LFR to go do content, or nor do they. And I think Ghostcrawler, again, I think he tweeted something to that effect fairly recently. And I get it. I understand it. So this is a subscription game. Let's talk about the game for a second and what it means for the game to have kind of this system where we drop one wing, every week, every other week, whatever it is. And I think what it does for the game is it kind of makes a consistent interest over time, which is good for Blizzard, for sure. And a lot of people are like, well, that's Blizzard being money-grubbing scoundrels and blah, blah, blah. But really, it's about you playing the game and you finding interest in the game over the longest term possible. That's what Blizzard wants. That's another way of looking at it. They want you to enjoy the game as long as possible. And this is another way to do that. To make sure that you aren't just going to kill Garrosh day one and then say, you know what else is there, Blizzard? Way to go. Thanks a lot. Now I've killed the boss on easy mode and now I have nothing to do because I don't have a team or anything like that. So I'm just going to go and just
You're
quit.
just going to go do something else.
So, yeah, I'm going to go play Diablo on PS3.
On consoles.
Wouldn't they like that? Because then they get another sale off of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
I can understand. I can understand the complaints. I can understand the sort of unhappiness there, but I just don't think that there's ever a situation we could see where releasing LFR in full on day one would work. Like, there's too many things standing in the way of that. And yeah, like, one of the other arguments you see is that, oh, well, everybody does LFR. LFR is raiding for the masses, and it will all quit. It's like, no, you won't. A. And B, it's like, just because it's a lot of people do it doesn't mean that's a good reason to release it day one. A lot of those people also do normal modes, and a lot of those people Blizzard are hoping will take the step up into Flex. So the last thing you want is for people to be like, oh, well, like you just said, like, I've done it now. Why bother finding a group? I know what happens. I've seen the boss die. I understand the fight. Why would I even bother to try doing this a little bit harder and get a group and make a team and make some friends? Like, why would I bother? I'm just gonna
that would require effort. That would require effort, and we don't want to do that at all.
I think this is
in this game.
I think this is probably a little bit on the higher scale instead of just like splitting it down the middle. But I think it's kind of interesting because if you think about it, LFR did in a way provide a service because it literally, like, World of Warcraft used to be known as one of the most addicting things ever, and it took all this time, and people were losing and breaking up with their wives over it, and it's because of the commitment. Now, with the systems in place, we've pretty much just chopped off all those people that are at the point where they can't make the commitment, don't want to make the commitment, and just said, okay, fine, you go do your own thing. And the people who actually want to take the time to raid, the people who want to take the time to learn the fights, the people who are like good and want to progress are the ones that are still doing it. Theoretically, they might have even made a better raiding community because of it. It's a lot more sparse, but potentially a better raiding community because of it, if you think about it like that.
Possibly, yeah. I think there's a real risk. First, just like one tiny sort of nitpick in saying that people who do LFR aren't good. Like, they might be great raiders just with like no time on their hands or some other reason why they have to do LFR. Like, it's not necessarily just a time commitment thing. So I think we have to be a little bit careful about assuming that just because you just do LFR, you're therefore bad.
Sure,
like, you might be really great. But I think it's sort of. I feel like, particularly with this sort of schism we're seeing at the moment with things like the heirlooms, which are dropping in Flex and up, like, there is a kind of like, right, if you want to do this, then this happens. And there is really kind of a sort of two routes there. Like, if you want to start off over here, then go that way. That's great. You're going to get more cool stuff. You're going to get things faster. But if you want to just turn off and just do the LFR thing, go for your life.
Right. And people look at that as being another bad thing, another thing saying that LFR is horrible and blah, or Blizzard thinks that LFR people are horrible because they don't give them heirlooms because they're doing LFR mode, and they want to reward people that are going through time and effort wise, making more of a commitment and going through. Wait, hold on a second. No, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. What are you talking about? So let's reward those people that are giving their time, their commitment to this game, and let's give them some more stuff. Why not? And so that stuff makes perfect sense to me. But then again, I am a normal mode raider, so therefore,
it's not fair. You shouldn't get stuff that I can't get. It's not my fault that I've got a job and I work till 9 o'clock. You telling me I can't have items?
And it's really funny because I have a friend who says, well, I play soccer 3 nights a week. Why don't I have the World Cup?
That isn't extremely good.
So
I would hypothetically, I don't actually like football, but I pay for a season ticket. Why haven't we won yet?
Right, exactly.
Why aren't I in the Royal Box? I pay for a season ticket. What?
Yeah.
All right, let's. I think we've beaten this topic to.
The really
there's still
great
more.
Thing,
wait, there's more.
One more thing. Bashak said in the chat room. Bashak said in the chat room that he was really engaged in this conversation because, let's face it, in the end, it's all about him.
Well, this all was about.
I wore
Bashiok,
green,
right?
so I would look more like Bashiok today.
I love that. That's awesome.
Let's talk about someone else.
All right, let's move on. Let's not talk about someone else. Let's talk about something else, mainly an awesome sponsor known as Shutterstock. Am I right?
Yeah.
Shutterstock,
they have
guys.
pictures of trees.
They do have pictures of trees. How'd you know? That's almost what I kind of had here, set up.
Oh, look at that. That's amazing.
No, Bash, that's your new hairdo.
Bashiok, we could just... Which one? This one right here?
Yeah, that one. No, the pink one. The one with the pink.
Down here.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, this is an awesome tool that Shutterstock provides. It's called Spectrum, and obviously we've been talking to you guys about how Shutterstock is great for finding pictures, but sometimes you don't know what you need to find, or sometimes you're stuck within the constraints of a specific color palette. Like this is the design color for our logo. This is what we need. Maybe you need a red leaf. When I was in high school, I always wanted to start my own company. I've even got a business card. I don't have the time to pull it out, but red leaf pictures was kind of always my thing, and I was always on the hunt for a really good red leaf picture. So if you go to Shutterstock and you go to their tool called Spectrum, right here I typed in maple leaf, and it's showing me a whole bunch of green spectrum. But if I just move this color slider right here, I can actually get a whole variety of different search results based on the color that I'm selected in. So obviously, if I was specifically looking for a red maple leaf, I can come over here to the reds and scroll down and find one that perfectly suits the nature of whatever I'm trying to look for. Just one
nature,
of the awesome.
I get it. Nature. That was good. Sorry.
That was a Coltrane level pun, and I just let it roll over my head. Dang it!
Sorry.
Didn't mean to throw you off. No, that's fine. Go check them out, though, guys. They're an amazing sponsor that we're really happy to have on here, and by supporting them, you help support the show. So if you head on over and use head on over to Shutterstock.com and use the offer code GameBreaker9 at checkout, you'll get 25% off your brand new account. So head on over. Let's move on.
And don't forget, they also have a great app for your iPad.
Handy dandy iPad app so that you can do all your graphic designing on the go.
That's right.
Wow.
All right, let us move on here and get the show back on track to World of Warcraft. One thing that came up with a lot of interviews at Gamescom was healing. Tom Chilton and Corey Stockton talked about how there were a bunch of, that there are too many smart heals in the game, and that lead systems designer Greg Street followed that up with saying, he put out a tweet that said how AoE heals have become too effective. So first up, both of you guys are healers. I don't know anything about healing because I've been feral almost since Burning Crusade and nothing else. So I'm going to field this one out to you guys. What is your guys' take on this? Do you think that the problem lies with smart heals or with AoE heals?
I think there's kind of two different problems, and I think the smart heal problem relates to particularly things like the sort of set and forget things, like the light spring as opposed to light well, and the shaman healing stream totem, where all you're thinking of doing is, right, I'm going to drop this on cooldown. Like all the, you go read a guide, and certainly there are kind of occasions when this might not be the absolute categorical optimum strategy, but largely you're like, particularly I heal on a resto shaman. What we do is you drop that healing stream totem on cooldown and you forget about it. And again with shaman, chain heal is an AoE heal, which is also a smart heal, and you fire that out and it does the thinking for you, and it spreads itself through the group. And it's highly possible that there are other examples for other classes, which I just don't know as well. But there's certainly like smart healing. Atonement is another fine example of smart heals. And the feeling is that they've become too prevalent and they've taken some of the thought out of healing. And that's what Tom and Corey were saying, was that people should be being more elective with their spells and not just saying, oh, well, I'll just use the smart heal, because that's fine. I think the AoE healing thing is kind of a different problem. And actually, more raid healing related, that people are just spamming AoEs because they're the most effective thing to do.
Effectiveness, no. I mean, does that necessarily stem? Pat, I'll let you go in a second, but maybe you can compound on this. Does effectiveness stem from just the fact that there's so much spirit in the game, and it's so late that basically there's so much regen that people don't have to be effective anymore? They can just basically throw out whatever they want.
Well, we see this at the end of pretty much every expansion, where spirit is the thing that we have way too much of and that we're trying to get rid of at some point. And we really see that now, especially with reforging. But I don't think that that's the problem. I definitely think that one of the problems that Blizzard faced was that with harder content came this idea that all healers had to do everything, and they all had to be able to deal with 5-man content. And so then you had to make healers be able to do tank heals and raid heals at the same time. And that doesn't work when you're actually in a raid environment, because then what ends up happening is that you find that some healers, disc priests, hello, those guys start taking over the game. And, holy paladins are up there as well, but disc priests, holy paladins, mistweaver monks, I mean, these guys are all putting out, not only are disc and mistweavers putting out some great heals, they're also putting out damage. So why wouldn't you want those guys as opposed to druids or holy pallies or shaman, either way? And why not be able to bring those guys in and say to the other guys, oh, you know what, you guys can go screw off. I don't need you because your output is not that great. You're not putting out these wonderful damage numbers, and so just go F yourself.
With that being said, though, is there any credence to considering the fact of going back to role-specific healers? Because if you specifically do that, then you run into the problem of, well, we've got a druid for our AoE heals, but now we got to find a really good paladin. Well, damn it, we can't find a paladin, so we're fucked.
We have seen that some of the sentiment from Blizzard has been to kind of lay off of the Trinity so much anyway. With raiding, you're always going to have that, but with other content, you're talking about scenarios now. So now you can actually say, oh, you know what? We just need like an off heal, so we don't really need to do, they don't really need to do everything. They just need to be able to do some spot healing and do some damage along the way, so that we can, so that they can balance content. Beautiful. And if you're going to do that, then you can go back to the healer mode where paladins are great tank healers, druids are awesome raid healers, shaman are great raid healers as well. So you can have those different role-specific healers in your group again and not worry about it quite so much. I think that if they took the emphasis off of that, I think a lot of healers would be a lot happier. Because right now, disc priests are just so OP, it's really annoying.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something needs to be done about disc priests, and something needs to be done about mistweavers. leaving those sort of like that's definitely a thing. There's definitely a thing there. But I think that the sort of what really like sort of flipped the switch for me with what you were just saying was that healing people it will become more interesting. And I think like Ghostcrawler's tweet about AoE healing being too effective was in response to a paladin healer saying, oh, well, all I do is spam Holy Radiance and Light of Dawn. I'm trying to remember. I don't actually heal on my pally, so I'm trying to remember the names of the heals. Apologies if that's not right. But all they do is spam that, and that is the best way for them to heal because of reasons. And he's like, that isn't good. It should be, healing should be making choices. And like, to me, that's what's exciting about healing. That's why I love PvP healing so much. And challenge modes are great fun as well. I haven't had as much opportunity to do as many of those as I like, but where you're actually like, it actually really matters which heal you pick. Like it's really like the answer isn't to spam Smite or to spam Prayer of Healing or to spam Holy Radiance or Light of Dawn or to just keep the group blanketed in Healing Rains and spam Chain Heal. I mean, that's not great stuff, but anyway, you know what I mean? Like the answer to healing shouldn't ever be spam this. It should be, okay, well in this, like, I mean, look at, again, Disco Priests. Look at Disc Priest Toolkit. The sheer quantity of heals those guys have is insane. And there should be situations where like the answer is a Prayer of Mending, or there should be situations where the answer is a Greater Heal. And it shouldn't be the case that you're just like, just do this smiting thing and then do that occasionally and you'll all be golden.
How are we not used to the...
It needs to be more fun, it needs to be more interesting.
How are we not used to the trend, though, that disciplined priests are always overpowered at the end of an expansion? That's just the way it always happens. It always has happened like that.
Well, no, it's funny because I've been playing a druid now for, what, a couple years, 2-3 years, and, it used to be that druids were pretty awesome at the end of the expansion, and we're not. And so I'm really kind of lost right now. It's not good. It's not good. No, but one of the other things with Disc Priest is that absorbs have really come a long way this expansion, and I don't understand exactly why that is, but they're mitigating damage before it actually gets to anybody. And so that makes it hard for those guys that do direct heals, and it doesn't matter whether it's a smart heal or whether it's a hot, whether it's a direct big huge heal, doesn't matter. If the guys aren't taking damage, I can't do any numbers. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of one of those things too, where if you have a Disc Priest and a Holy Paladin and a Druid, who's going to come in last? This guy right here.
Yeah, it's exactly the same with Shaman.
Stop just jumping around and hitting one button while you're mobile healing. All right, we get it.
Yeah,
you can jump and heal. It doesn't mean you're good at it.
But that's a big problem with how people base a lot of the sort of mental measure of their healing on healing meters. Is that like healing meters are a dumb way to measure healing.
Right.
Like just how classes work. And okay, yes, the Restoration Shaman says that. Of course I do. I'm low on meters. But, Resto Shaman, the way our mastery works, like I spent most of the early part of this expansion 2 healing fights with the Disc Priest. And if you don't know how Restoration Shaman mastery works, it is when your targets are lower than 50% health, your heals get this massive boost, and all of a sudden you're critting it's like lay on hands every single time you heal somebody. And it's awesome. And Shaman are really, really good clutch healers. When the shit hits the fan, Shaman are fantastic. But if you've got a Disc Priest who is cleverly absorbing all that damage with Spirit Shells, so people never really drop that low, or as soon as you get onto the point where fights are kind of not for full hardcore progression anymore, they're actually more on farm, Resto Shaman are crap because we don't have that mastery boost. Yep. And synergy between classes is a problem there, and that it's a good reason to not pay attention to healing meters. Dear raid leaders, stop that. Right.
Well, and the nice thing about Shaman, by the way, is that at least your gear, you don't have to switch out.
That's true.
For druids, you have to switch out everything to crit, and it's one of those crazy things where you just kind of look at it and you go, okay, well, if I'm going to change specs, then I guess I need to reforge every single piece and regem and do all this stuff to make sure that my gear is okay. Thanks, Blizz.
Yeah, I think it's, anyway, to go back to sort of the original question about AoE healing being too strong. I think that another thing that they have to consider is like the efficiency of AoE heals mana should be a thing. Like yes, mana regen has become irrelevant. And Mistweaver regen, particularly, is insane. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculously good. Like, there's a Mistweaver in my raid whose overhealing is as much as her healing. And I mean, I'm not saying she's a good Mistweaver. But, like, then that probably shouldn't be a thing. I don't know much about Mistweaver monks, I must be honest.
Hang on, real quick. I like I like Bashiok's version of Blizzard's meters. Blizzard's meters. Did it die? Yes. You did good.
Right.
No, you did bad. Fix it.
That's the way that healers should be judged. Is not by heals per second. It should be judged by deaths over the course of the encounter, right? But that's not the way that it works. We always look at, okay, yes, we all won. That's great. But how can I do better? If you're a competitive guy like myself, you look at the numbers and you say, okay, how can I do better next time? And if nobody's taking damage because the Disco Priest is shielding everybody and they're not taking any damage, then what the hell can I do? I can make the
Disc Priest sick. Time to reroll.
That's right.
I will make my own Disc Priest, and we will see how the other Disc Priest like that. But no, it's a big issue, and people. But I think that healing meters have a place. Don't judge the overall quality of your healers, particularly class on class, on healing meters. But healing meters have a place. Like, if you're, like, say, for example, you're 3 healing fights, and you've got 2 healers who are still doing roughly the same numbers, kind of, like, within a few % of each other, and you've got someone who's below the tanks, that healer below the tanks is probably not doing their optimum healing output. Like, for that sort of thing, healing meters are useful. And another thing healing meters are really useful for is comparing yourself to other healers of the same class and spec as you. So say, for example, early in expansions, if I go into LFR and I'm being massively out-healed by another Restoration Shaman, I will go into a SCADA and be like, oh, what spells are they using? This is really interesting. How can I maximize my output to match up with this guy? Oh, he's got much better gear than me. Maybe that has something to do with it. But they're useful for that. They're not completely useless, but you shouldn't base the quality of your healers or the success of them purely on meters. And AoE healing is a really good way, by the way, particularly AoE smart heals, really good way to pad those meters.
Yeah, tell me about it. Tranquility is the only way that I get numbers nowadays. So I throw that like right away at the beginning of the fight, and then again towards the end. It's perfect.
Yeah, well, I mean, like my tactic for, like, I have healing properly and LFR sniping my way to the top of the board healing, and that one is spam chain heal, drop healing stream on cooldown, and make sure the raid is blanketed in healing rains. All the heals which the devs have been isolating as problematic.
Right.
So yeah, there's definitely that there.
Beautiful.
Indeed.
All right, let's move on to some PvP news. First off, some strange things have been going on with tournament realms and BlizzCon BlizzCon invitational entries. Well-known shaman healer Sidhu was interviewed by PvP Line on his frustrations on how the tournament realm system and lack of regional tournaments excluded him from BlizzCon, and how this was poorly communicated by Blizzard. So, Olivia, what's going on here?
Okay, so the basically there was, for some reason, we don't exactly know why, but there was a very short notice decision that regionals, which normally what happens is in order to get into BlizzCon, there are regional tournaments. So the EU has a tournament, Russia has a tournament, the EU has a tournament, China has a tournament, Taiwan has a tournament, Korea has a tournament, the US has a tournament, and the winners of those tournaments all get together, and there's BlizzCon, and it's wonderful, and a random Korean team with a hunter wins, and everyone's like, oh, this is wonderful. This is the best tournament ever, and it's all lovely. And the same thing happened last year with the WCS, because they're World Champion, the Blizzard BWC, that's what they called it, where there wasn't actually a BlizzCon, but they still had the whole tournament set up. And for some reason this year, there was a decision made, not sure why, to not have regionals. So there was then an announcement made. Obviously, everyone assumed like these are based off the tournament rounds. That's how this works. That's kind of one of the things that tournament round is for. And they announced very short notice, with 1 week left to go in the rated phase, the final rated phase, that it would be the top 2 teams from the tournament round that would go through to BlizzCon. Now, Sidhu had picked up a comp that he felt would be like good enough to get like I think he said top 8. In the interview, and obviously I'll try to remember to link the interview in the article, so do go and check that out with PvP Live. But the short notice was a huge issue for them, because they were then like, oh god, so I need to get into a comp that can make top 2 here. I need to get ahead and get up into the top 2 to ensure that I get to go to BlizzCon. And for reference, CG was like one of the best restoration shaman in the entire world. And he did incredibly well in the recent Bleach Bones tournament. And he's a really good player, and he should be at BlizzCon doing this tournament. So yeah, the short notice was a big deal, and it was just all handled really, really badly.
Why was there short notice to begin with?
Well, this is another question. It's like, we don't know. It was just, for some reason, they just left the announcement that it would be the top 2 teams really, really late. And it's kind of confusing. Like, we don't understand why there were no regionals. We don't understand why they decided to only take these top 2 teams. And we don't understand why the announcement was left so late. It's all a bit of a mystery. And it sort of gave people no time to get into, like, there are comps which aren't going to be top 5. Like, you're not going to get to rank 1 in this comp, but you'll play it anyway. And so what CG was saying was that he felt that the comp would be really, really strong in 5-4, because obviously that's going to happen quite soon. So it's kind of a difficult situation, because he was playing a comp that he felt would be good at BlizzCon, but not necessarily great in 5-3, which is where the tournament realm is. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird situation, and nobody's sure exactly what happened there at the Blizzard end.
Now, they're going to be playing at BlizzCon in patch 5.4 anyhow.
Yeah.
Why didn't they continue to use the realms in 5.4? I mean, if this was the sole means of qualification, does it make sense?
Exactly. That's a great question. Like, and that's another thing that CG sort of brought up in the interview, was why not just sort of let it tick over into the 5-4 situation, where that's what people are going to be playing anyway, so that then the comps won't change around. Like, people are going to be like, oh, well, I'm not going to win with this comp because now we're in 5-4. I better do something different. And again, like, we just don't know. It's this is kind of like, I'm a big fan of Arena as an esport, and like, I'm just kind of like, what's going on here? What are you doing?
Yeah, that doesn't really sound right, to make an announcement so late into the patch. That's just strange.
It is very weird.
Now, the latest tournament realm has been pretty much a mess. What's been the impact overall for PvP here?
Well, yeah, it's definitely been a mess. Like, we had they had some huge problems with the ladders displaying incorrectly, so you couldn't see where you were actually ranking. And obviously, in a situation where you're ranking, like, it's really important to find out if you're ranked top 2. There was like, the ladders weren't displaying for ages and ages and ages. The US lost a whole week of their rated phase because Blizzard were unable to reset the teams for reasons. They were unable to wipe everyone's rating. They were also unable to. There was a problem. The
mouse didn't clock in that day. He had the day off.
Nobody clocked in. Exactly. Nobody clocked in that day. I'm trying to remember what the other big issue was. Obviously, this whole thing of the notice was a big issue, but there was something else as well. No, I can't remember.
So why were there no regionals in the first place, though?
Nobody is sure about that. It's completely
in other
baffling.
Words, good question.
Well, we kind of touched on this earlier. There's not been an explanation issued as to why there were no regionals. Everyone was expecting regionals to happen, and then they didn't, and it's utterly bizarre. There's been no explanation. There's been no, what is going on? We're not sure. But something like an explanation would be nice.
That's a question that I ask all the time, anytime that anybody brings up PvP. What's going on? But now especially, I seem to be asking that question. Thanks, Olivia.
Yeah, anytime.
Do you guys think that Blizzard has given up on esports at all here, with arenas specifically? I mean, we've been here on Legendary. I mean, even back when it was Gary, Lore, and Mike, they've been campaigning for a spectator mode for the longest time. We've seen no headway. Right. We even got, I think they said that it's not even in the plans for a long time. I think I saw a post about that.
At this point, it does seem like it's kind of that people are kind of giving up that Blizzard will actually make that happen. However, people keep on asking them about spectator mode, and they say, wow, we would really love to implement that at some point down the line in maybe the next however long Infinity is. That would be really great. We'll try to do it then. By Infinity, we will have spectator mode in WoW. What do you say about that, guys? And then everybody's like, Thanks.
Thanks, I guess. But yeah, exactly. And like, I don't know, like, like I say, I love watching Arena. I love Arena as an esport. I think I love doing arenas. I like watching arenas. I mean, streams, a whole lot, tournaments, love it. And I kind of find it baffling that Blizzard just don't seem that into it right now. Like, the StarCraft stuff is going great guns. It's fantastic. Like, what they're doing with StarCraft at the minute is amazing. And they've long said the community have taught them how to do esports with StarCraft. And the community are working hard. Like, there's all these sort of private, like, fan site organized tournaments taking place, and Blizzard are just like responding to this by cutting out huge chunks of the tournaments and like really badly messing up the tournament realms and changing the rules at the last minute so that major PvP is... Oh, and that's the other thing they failed to do, was to tell people, so, okay, you've got this top 2 thing on the TR, so you've got to be in the top 2 to win, and they said, oh, the TR will end on this... Sorry, TR is tournament round, if that's... Sorry. The tournament realm will end on this date. And then it didn't. The realms didn't come down.
What?
So it just didn't stop.
You
and
cannot...
so then... I know. And so then all these people were on Twitter saying, hey, Halinka, has it stopped yet? So do we need to keep playing? Can we keep trying to snipe our way up to that number 2 spot right now? Or has it already been snapshotted? Or you know, the realms are still up. Is it even carrying on? Are we getting an extra week? Is it because the patch has been delayed? What's actually happening? Yeah, that face, man. That face is an accurate representation of this situation. And like, to go back to the part of the question I didn't answer earlier, the impact of this on PvP overall, I mean, casual PvPers won't like know about this. So for those guys, it's fine. But for the people who are sort of like, I definitely don't count myself in this group, the people who are at the top of the PvP game, people like Steeju, and the people like me who are fangirls of those people, this has a huge impact. It kind of makes it feel like Blizzard doesn't care about you. And that's kind of a sucky thing to feel.
Yeah. That's not cool, guys. That's not cool.
Get it together.
Stop it.
Not cool, bro. All right, last up here, Brian Halinka has been up to his usual tricks and tweeted some teasers out about a thing that we might expect in the future, specifically saying that Blizzard recognizes that PvPers need more rewards from random battlegrounds. See, they don't hate all PvPers.
Just like
Halinka's teasing for you guys.
It's not battlegrounds.
Remember, it's not about hardcore players or anything like that. They did, you know, we've seen that with raiders. They don't like hardcore or anything, but casual guys, you know, from random battlegrounds.
Yeah.
We're gonna give you something to get into battle.
It's a tournament realm. Surprise!
So, God, no. Speculation here. What do you guys think that they could give out for random battlegrounds here?
Pets.
Pets, yeah.
Sure. Why not? Pets, mounts. Let's do that.
They kind of already have mounts because you can buy mounts for honor. So there is that already. I can see them I'd love to see them give money.
Ooh.
Like, you know,
Bags of gold.
PvP is, yeah, because everyone loves getting those from LFR. PvP is not cost neutral. Like, it costs you money. And people always say, oh, well, you don't take as much durability damage in PvP. It's like, no, you don't, but you still take some. And guess what? You still have to buy gems and enchants. And guess what isn't free? Gems and enchants. And yeah, sure, the PvP ones, like the optimal PvP ones aren't always the most expensive. The enchant chest for the resilience enchant for the chest is craftable with low-end materials, for example. But they still cost money. And so if PvPers could like make money just from PvPing, like maybe give us some gear that we could have as BOEs to sell on the auction house, like you used to do with Valor gear and Cataclysm. That would be nice.
It would be pretty easy to put together too. I mean, you know, if they did the same system as like a dungeon run or something like that, where you could get a bag of loot at the end, and yes, it would be a bag of loot, and it would probably contain 23 gold.
Yeah.
And then some other stuff. So hopefully that's the way that it would go. So if you see a battleground, a random battleground all the way through to completion, then you would get this bag of something that's kind of nice but not completely awesome, with a random chance for something awesome.
Yeah, a random chance of like a piece of gear or a mount or a pet, like, you know, infinitesimally small chance of a mount, small chance of a pet, but maybe just a chance of like a world boss, like you have a small chance of a random piece of PvP gear to drop out, like you get from scenarios, basically. And like, I don't know, you still get a bunch of stuff from winning random battlegrounds, but like it would be nice if you got something just for showing up. as well. Like a little sort of, oh, well, you did okay. Here's some gold. You
tried.
Hang on. Let me do this.
Trophy.
Even though Gary's right here, hey, let me just do this for him.
Cha-ching. That?
Cha-ching.
Right yeah.
You just need more just feel goods just because.
Right.
Well, I mean, and also like it would make you feel less bad and frustrated about putting half an hour of your life into a random battleground that you lost and always you're never bad. It's always your team. Your team are terrible. You're fantastic.
and it does seem like Helenka and other people have talked about how they want to bring more people into PvP, and how can they do it? They're not going to do it by beating you with a stick and saying you have to do PvP, like with the legendary cloak. It didn't really work out all that well. People did those two things and then they left, right away. So doing something like this where you're giving people rewards for going through even on random battlegrounds to get you interested into PvP, that makes a lot of sense. Really
I have no idea how hard this would be to technically create, but how I see a lot of chat room joking about armor sprinkles. How awesome would it be if they could make mounts like customizable? Like certain areas, like you could earn certain pieces to like be like, oh look, I was in Arathi Basin, so I got an Arathi Basin crest that I can put on my mount. No?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be really. I have no idea how difficult that would be to program, but
they're gonna do all the pets. All the pet models that are out there now. They're gonna redo them for these reward systems, and then they're just gonna put armor on them.
Yeah.
So they're battleground pets.
Armored this.
That's right. Armored something or another.
Yeah.
Speaking of battlegrounds, Liv, I heard there was a bug that actually got fixed for 5.4 that you're really happy about.
Yeah, I'm really happy about this bug. I can't. Before, it's to do with the rated battleground and arena cap interaction. So there's the system at the moment where you can only get up to a certain amount of your cap through doing arenas, and then the last 400 points you have to get from doing rated battlegrounds. And then basically what was happening was you had to do the rated battleground component of that cap last. So if you did, say you're on the basic cap and you do your arenas up to 1,800 conquest points and you want to get to 2,200, you have to do that rated battleground after you've got your arena cap. So if you go, like, you rock up on a Thursday or whatever, like you've got your 0 of your cap for the week, you're like, right, oh, rated battleground pug's going. I'm going to hop into that and get me my 400 conquest points. Guess what? That comes off your arena cap. So yeah, you're still stuck at the 1,800 from arena, and you just wasted some of that on the rated battleground 400 you just got. So they fixed it. It's only taken them since the launch of Mists of Pandaria to fix it.
Way to go, Blizz.
Way to go, guys.
All right, let's move on to some viewer questions and get the heck out of here. Remember, every week we answer your questions live right here, so keep an eye on our Facebook page and send them in at submit@gamebreaker.tv. So we love video questions. If you guys got those, try and keep them short. Now, we do have one this week, but if you guys out there want to get yourself on Legendary, just film yourself doing a video question, send it in, and we'll air it. Coming up this week, let's see. Oh, I didn't prepare, and I didn't drop that into the player. There it is. Jin had this to say: 2 words, tab targeting. Why is it still broken? I went through a series of tubes, like YouTubes. I went through a series of tubes and found many posts from other players, from others about their tab targeting problems. Now, I know I'm not the only one who tabs, nor am I the only one who finds it to be broken. 1. Sometimes you have to hit tab twice to get it to switch targets. 2. Many times when you hit tab, you switch to a target, to switch to a mob in front of you, you hit tab and it targets a mob behind you because it's apparently the nearest target. Why won't they fix it? And before anyone says anything, I'm just going to say what the whole internet just thought. No. Bad. Stop using tab. All right, now that's out of the way. I agree with you because I use tab. I occasionally will use tab too. So I was just saying it for the internet. It's been said. It's been clarified. We don't need comments about it. But now, what do you guys think about tab targeting? Why won't they fix the way that tab targeting works?
I think tab targeting is the best thing since sliced bread. How's that? No, I really don't. But I still do it from time to time. But being a healer, I don't need to rely on it. So I haven't really noticed it, to be honest. So sorry. I have nothing.
Olivia, you got any thoughts on tab targeting?
I'm struggling to hear you guys a bit, so I'm sorry if I'm a bit disjointed. My internet is just being horrendous today.
You went 8-bit.
I hope I'm not too 8-bit. I tab target. You know, when I tab target is when when I'm discipline priest atonementing in 5-man content. And what I'm tending to do is, like, I've got my eye on the raid frames and I've got my eye on where the party are. The rest of the people in the party are. Let's go with that. And what I'm not watching is what I'm targeting. And the amount of times that I've been just like, right, healing, smite a bit to get some Archangel stacks up, healing. Oh god, I just pulled a whole different pack. Because for some reason, tab target hit those guys right over there instead of this guy here. Like, what? And yeah, they should fix it. And I click target when it's important, but they should fix it.
Here's the problem here's the problem with, I think, that they should fix tab targeting. I don't think there's going to be any sort of solution to a nature of hit this one button and guess what? It's going to know exactly the target that you want it to hit.
Sure,
I get that it's a little bit outlandish, and he brings up the fact that you hit tab, it targets something behind you when that's clearly not what you were trying to hit. But it's a program, it's a system, it's a code. It doesn't know that. Could they refine it? Sure.
It should be directional. I mean, that's really the thing that I want out of it.
Yeah, I kind of was slightly confused by that comment from Jen, because I believe it is directional. I've never ever had it jump to something behind me, but then I don't play that much melee, so maybe that's a thing. Right. But I believe it's directional. It's meant to. My complaint with tab targeting is that it's meant to hit the nearest target, like the next nearest target, if you already have the nearest one targeted. And yet, for some reason, just occasionally, it's like, oh, that one over there. I'm just going to go for that one over there. I hope that's cool. Sorry. It's just like, what? Like, it shouldn't be that hard to be, like, the nearest target. At least one of the targets in this clump that's right in front of me, instead of that random guy who's all the way over there. Like,
but isn't that subjective? Because I'll put myself in threes, because that's where I use tab the most. And I also had Gladius, because I had unit frames, and I had all this stuff going. But, like, I mean, let's say, all right, we're targeting here. And, like, subjectively, I'm going to say I want to be able to hit tab because I clearly want to target their healer so that I can cyclone him. But why did it hit the person that's closest to me? This guy's clearly who I wanted it to. I think the problem is it's always going to be subjective. You're always going to be frustrated when you hit tab and it doesn't go to the target that you want it to.
Especially if you do it in PvP, because in PvP, that is not going to be the way that you want to do things, especially if you're in a rated anything. If you're in a random battleground, you might be able to get away with it, but if you're in PvP in some sort of rated system, arena, whatever, you are going to die. Big time. Yeah. That's it. That's all there is to it.
All right, let's take up the next question here. This comes in from Luke Malcolm. He says, do you think that LFR is the reason people don't try to get into at least normal modes anymore? And another big reason why 25 man rating is disappearing. This is kind of what I was saying before about how I think that it's, you know, I don't want to say it's immediately like chopped it right in half, but I think that to a certain extent, LFR has provided a service to the players that were trying to raid before that simply don't have the time commitment to do so or don't have the desire to do so, and they've dropped off. Yes, I think it's affected it, but I think that it's effectively made that smaller community. It's made the community smaller, but it has made it a little bit more pure because the people participating are the people who want to participate.
There are two different questions here, really. I mean, because do you think that LFR is the reason people don't try to get into at least normal modes anymore? A little bit. It makes it a lot easier for people with very minimal effort. You just have to click a button and it will find people for you to raid with. That's pretty cool, and it's really super convenient, and it's no work. It really is no work for a lot of people. So yes, that does affect a percentage of people. Then there's the other question of, is this why 25-man rating is disappearing? And that answer is no. One of the biggest reason in my mind why 25-man is disappearing, or has kind of gone down anyway, is for two things. Number one, they made 10 and 25 man, equal loot, equal difficulty, which means that roughly, that's what they've aspired to anyway. So with 25 with 25s versus 10s, there really isn't too much of a consideration. Before in Wrath, 10 mans were easier, 25 mans were harder, and now we're seeing 25 mans. Those raid teams are actually more inclined to be heroic raid teams, whereas 10 mans are more inclined to be normal raid teams. So we're seeing that, again, it has more to do with effort, right? 25 mans takes a lot of effort to be able to get into and be able to play and organize effectively. And 10 mans take considerably less time, less energy to be able to manage those teams. So that's why we're seeing more 10 mans, in my opinion. It doesn't really have as much to do with LFR as anything else. So that's that.
Olivia, you got any thoughts?
I don't know if she can. Oh, we can't hear her.
If that wasn't over to me, I really have not been able to hear a thing you guys have said. So I'm sorry if I am overlapping things that Pat's already brought up. But yeah, I don't know. I think that LFR has contributed to fewer people doing group content. Because it's so easy. If you want to see bosses, it's very easy to just jump in, click one button, and wait a while, get into LFR and do it. As a result of that, people take the easy route, path of least resistance, to see content, and LFR is that.
All right, let's take it up to our video question, but this video question is brought to you guys by, I can't find the banner, there's the banner, Audible. For a free 30-day trial, head on over to audible.com/gamebreaker, and you guys will get a free audiobook. World of Warcraft fans, if you guys have not heard of Audible, I cannot tell you enough. I'm just going to simply come over here. It's really simple. All you guys got to do, head over to Audible, type in World of Warcraft. Yeah, it's that easy. The game you guys all know and love. Boom, there you go. 4 audiobooks. And some of the best audiobooks, I might say. As a Druid fan, love Stormrage. Yeah. As an Alliance lover, yeah, I hate you all, Horde. So of course I want to hear about Tyrion. Jaina.
Yeah.
Jaina. Did I really just say Jaina? Man, what's wrong with me?
Jaina. It's all the same.
Jaina, if you guys are interested in the scenario about where Theramore blows up, this is kind of the aftermath, or kind of right around that time in the aftermath of when Theramore blew up, and kind of where Jaina's at in her current mentality. And finally, they also have the brand new Vol'jin Shadows of the Horde book. So if you guys are interested in World of Warcraft lore, Audible's a great service for you guys, and obviously it's not easy to come by World of Warcraft lore, so check out one of the free audiobooks if you guys head on over and sign up right now. So please do so. Let's get to this viewer question.
Hey Legendary, this is Star Twister again, unless you decided to play this question first and then you have no idea who I am. But anyway, so I have another rating question for you, and the question now is about flex rating. And my understanding of flex rating is it's going to allow groups anywhere from 10 to 25 people. My question is, why not have it allow for greater than 25 people as well? You know, have groups of 25, 26, 27, maybe 40. It's like people have been wanting 40-man raids back for a very long time. And this would be a great place to stick it. You know, you don't have to give it its own 40-man difficulty, but if you just make flex raids accommodate raids of 40 people, you know, that brings back, you know, the good old days of it. It'll go a long way towards building community again. Having 40 people in a raid it was an amazing thing back then, and it's absolutely something that I think World of Warcraft needs to bring back. What are your thoughts on that?
All right, we lost Olivia, so I got to fix it. Oh, nope, she came back.
She came back.
She came back.
A little bit.
Kind of back. She's in the middle of fixing something. So, while I quickly stall, 40-man rating. Pat, correct me if I'm wrong. Did they announce that they were dabbling with the technology to maybe try it, or no?
As far as I know, no. That is not. That is
a internet fact, which means it is a wrong fact.
Right.
So they're not doing that. What do you guys think? Do you think that you don't want to see it at all?
I think that it would be. I think that you can make the technology do that, but at the same time, I don't think that there's a real need for it. There may be some people that want it, but why? You know, it's kind of one of those things. I think I think it's a great idea, but the reality is that like 3 groups of people are going to want this, not thousands. So you kind of have to go with what the masses want, and I don't think they want to be able to manage a 40-man team. Remember what I was talking about, managing a 25-man team versus a 10-man team. A lot easier to manage a 10-man team than a 25. Why would you want to jump that up to 40?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, talking about this with people, like people who want to do 40-man raiding weren't trying to organize 40-man raiding way back when, is generally the thing with that. And yeah, no, I don't think people want that.
And we want paladins to go back to just giving buffs, and we want mages to just make water again.
Exactly.
And we want all this other stuff, and it's like, no, let's not. Let's do this. Let's not do it.
You know what would be cool though is, and I think they are doing this, if they make it so that you can take a smaller group, so you can take 8 into a 10-man raid. Like, I think going that way could be cool. I don't think it should go down to 5. For some reason, I just find that too small. But if you could
5,
take
what's the point of a 5-person raid? They've already kind of come out and said that they have scenarios for that. They have that content. It exists. Or dungeons.
That's not like a
dungeons.
raid.
Well, they don't have new dungeons, Mike. They don't have any new dungeons for 5.4 or anything.
I hate the internet.
No.
We can't have that at all. So we should allow it to be 5-man. No, it shouldn't be.
No, I don't. That's not what I think. I think 5 is too small. But I believe, if I understand it correctly, you can bring 8 people to the 10-man difficulty, and it will still let you queue. I'm not 100% certain of that. So check that fact before acting upon it. But I believe that that's the case.
Hey, internet, here's something else for you to try to believe in. Go for it.
Yeah, keep believing.
Another internet fact.
Another internet fact.
Another internet fact for you.
Pat Crane, you can follow him right down there at Pat Crane. Be sure to catch him over on CTR Convert the Raid.
Yes, please do.
And Olivia D. Grace. You can follow her at Olivia D. Grace. Check her out over on WoW Insider, Zam, the Game Breakers, the Everywheres, the Internet.
Yes, I'm taking over the world. Well, I'm actually not, because my internet's so bad that I can't take over the world.
But she's trying to put in internet facts anyway.
Yeah, I'm trying to fill it with facts.
Sprinkle the internet with facts. Internet facts.
You guys can follow me right down here at Mike Schaffnit. If you guys haven't checked out World of Warcraft Waypoint, what are you waiting for? It goes up on YouTube every Tuesday. I don't have a specific time. It just goes up on YouTube. So check it out. YouTube.com. And it goes up on Tuesday. That's all I got. YouTube.com/WowNationTV. It's kind of like a mini legendary. It's legendary in 10 minutes. All the quick news wrapped up. So if you guys haven't checked it out, be sure to check it out. Subscribe to the channel, please. And that does it for me. So be sure to follow Gamebreaker TV. Thank you, everybody, for watching Legendary. This show goes live every Thursday at 8 p.m. PST. Usually runs an hour unless we're feeling really spiffy. Then we just talk for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Hey, you guys just want to let's just go again. We got more to talk about, right? There's so much more. Let's just keep going.
Let's go. Did you see that post that Zalheim made about story?
Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week.